this is a disclaimer. At one point in this video, I used the example of the Red Cross, which probably wasn't a good example because they are a charity, but I was more trying to use the example of how much they pay somebody to run that organization. And I believe my number of $300,000 was way off. I believe her salary was $200,000 a year. And so it's not the idea of getting rid of the Red Cross. It has nothing to do with that. It was just using that number for the amount, which I'll discuss later in the video, but just not knocking the Red Cross. They are just absolutely a fine organization, and they are a charity. So it's not that they are a wasteful government entity. So I wasn't making a comparison about that. It was the just the idea of the salary that they pay for somebody to run it. So just keep that in mind when you come to that part in the video. Thank you. Hi y'all. Thank you for coming to my channel. It's Kimberly here. I went to McDonald's and got me a chocolate shake. And I went to Sonic because they're supposed to have the half price shakes after 8 o'clock. But apparently the Sonic here, I don't know, they acted like they didn't know what I was talking about. And I have gotten them there before, but it's been a long time. So I don't know if they discontinued it or what. I don't know what's going on. Well, I was going to make this video about stimulus check, a possible stimulus check in the future, or recurring payments. And there's been a lot of call for the $2,000 stimulus check. It's going through so many different hands right now that a lot of people are starting to support the $2,000 one-time stimulus check. And there's different offers that are being put forth for different size and different amount of stimulus checks, like $1,000 one, and there's some other new plan for $500 stimulus checks throughout the pandemic. And there's still one that is they're talking about $1,000 per month stimulus check after the initial $2,000 check. And I believe that the operative wording is until the end of the pandemic. But a lot of people are saying that the pandemic is pretty much over. It's running its course. People are being vaccinated, and that it is coming to an end. That it's the pandemic. For some people, the pandemic they consider it to be over and done. But there are several states where the infection rate is going back up again. And with the new variants that are coming around from, I believe, India and, well, some of them have already made their way into the U.S. And there's several different variants that are being found now. And they're already, I think the one in India is already in numerous other countries, and it has just shown up in the U.S. I think there were 2 cases in Texas, and actually that was about a week ago, so there could be more, I don't know. And numerous other states have already gotten several cases of the new variants. So for some people, they're just considering it to be open over, the pandemic over, because a lot of the states have opened up, people are going back to work, things are trying to get back to normal, which is good. We're trying to reclaim the economy, but it's still very slow going, and a lot of people don't want to go back to work. They're still, worried about catching the infection, or being infected with COVID and being possibly getting the new variant. And a lot of people have gotten the idea that they like working from home, that it's more convenient. It saves them gas money, time. They don't have to be away from their families much. And especially if they can do it with a computer, if it really is not super important just to be there in physical form in a building, then a lot of the people are saying that they're not going to go back. They're only going to do it from home, or they'll, I guess, look for another job where they can do work from home or something like that. But the push for the stimulus check and the recurring stimulus payment. So for I think some of the Congress, it is going to be on the opinion that whether or not the pandemic is over or about to be over, is in the late stages of being over. So I think that's a consideration that they're also making before they decide to shell out, recurring payments, which I don't think, in my opinion, I've said this several times, that I don't think the recurring payment is going to happen for the pandemic. But there is something else called universal basic income, and I have talked a little bit about it before. And that, to me, is more of a possibility, the way they word it with that, because it's not so much associated with the pandemic and just giving out money for people to stay at home. This can be kind of made to fit according to the economy and the economic level of who needs the most help. And it also can kind of, I wouldn't say completely shut down subsidized programs, but it can lessen the burden on that. And I think for some people in Congress, that might be a little bit more attractive than saying just we're just going to hand out stimulus checks. So if they can rationalize it that it is to end a lot of subsidy programs for the poor, for people making under a certain amount, that they no longer will be eligible for that if they get these monthly payments. And this has been done, universal basic income has been done in dozens and dozens of countries. I mean, I can't even remember Sweden, Germany, Japan, India, even Mongolia, Africa, all, there's dozens and dozens, Spain, Canada, Alaska, actually, our state of Alaska actually has it's considered I can't remember what they really call it, but it's a small monthly payment, but I think it adds up to about between $1,600 and $2,100 a month, depending on what the situation is or what the qualifier is on it. But they've had that for a long time, and other pilot programs in the U.S. have actually done that, and it didn't kill the job market, it didn't kill the economy. The school thought that, oh, everybody's just going to quit their job and not work. Well, that's not true. It actually enhanced the economy, and it also empowered people and made them, it gave them a lift up from the poverty level that they were in, and it gave them newer opportunities, and also it did make some people ineligible for certain programs, and those subsidized programs are less of a burden on a state or local government or federal government altogether. So the idea of universal basic income has been around for a long time, and a lot of these, some of the other countries, it wasn't just cash payments. It sometimes was connected to a certain type of incentive situation with either rent, housing, or food, or some other type of benefit that they would receive. But it was to lessen the burden of the, like I say, federal, state, or local, whatever government type that they have in that particular country. So, to me, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Once you give people enough money to live off of, they don't need to take from programs that may be. When you have these subsidized programs, there is a lot of waste, especially at the top, for administrative purposes and administrative pay. Because when you're paying each program in that leg of whatever department it is in, somebody has to. There has to be an administrative staff. Somebody has to run it and keep tally in the numbers and all kinds of paperwork. Everything has to be, memorialized for, tax purposes and proof that, these grants or whatever they used for the subsidy of that program, that it was a valid use. And when you're paying somebody $200,000 to run a program like that, that's kind of insane. And I'm using that number because Bob Dole, who was a presidential candidate, his wife, Elizabeth Dole, was she was ahead of I want to say the Red Cross, I may be wrong on this, but she was making around $300,000 a year for running that organization. And that is, the Red Cross is, they need a lot of different expansion in different states and cities. They're like a satellite program, so they have little pockets everywhere because of disaster need. But that was just one particular. I'm not criticizing the program itself, but just the idea, the number that I threw out, the $300,000 for a salary for that. When you eliminate these programs, you also eliminate these high-paying jobs that are kind of ridiculous in a way. I think that's, to me that is a lot of what a lot of Congress people, certain particular Congress people, call pork. It may be taking a job away from somebody, but somebody who's making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, I'm not going to be that worried about it. I'm more worried about the mass of people who are making, under poverty level, or, trying to struggle off of starvation wages. And when you elevate that section and that, that whole cross section of society, that's a huge amount of people, in the millions. And once you do that, it does eliminate a need for a lot of that pork that is passed out. And instead of it being passed out in these type of programs, instead of, just giving, I think, to me, it is a better idea with the universal basic income, where you do give somebody income for, a particular reason or a certain amount, and they can still work a regular job. It doesn't disqualify them from adding to that income. And I think it's a real viable idea, and I think it's also a good way to make sure that there is no poverty in this country. There is really no need. As you saw the report that came out, that there's so many billionaires that pay zero taxes. Despite the fact that they may be using legal loopholes to do that, I think that's insane. I mean, there should not be all these loopholes for billionaires and almost trillionaires or quasi-trillionaires to pay zero in taxes. That's insane. I think the paying for the privilege of being able to pay people such a low wage that it makes you a billionaire or a possible trillionaire, I think you should pay taxes on that. I'm not going to shed any tears over rich people paying their taxes. Okay, that's just my opinion and what I think about it. And, well, thank you all, and I'll be back with another video.